Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm letting everything spool up here as we join all of the different venues. And I'm being joined by my husband, Jonathan Hansen, who's going to be working behind the scenes. Here's Jonathan. Yay, thank you. All right, so he's manning the chats and comments. So I'm waiting to hear that we are all online. Go ahead and, if you all are there, go ahead and pop in the chat, say where you're from. And we have several locations people are dialing in from. So great. Good morning, everyone. Sounds like we're up and running. How are we on the website, Jonathan?
Looks good.
Okay, can you close that one down, please? Okay, thank you. Fantastic. All right, looks like we're getting people going now. Good morning. Good morning. I am Roseanne Hansen, and you are joining me for a Tucson Festival of Books event. This is the last day of the Tucson Festival of Books, and today I'll be talking about my book, Nature Journaling for a Wild Life, and I'll talk about field sketching, nature journaling, and show you my journal, and do a little bit of a demonstration, picking up where I left off yesterday. And then don't forget that also at 1 p.m. today, Jonathan will be talking here, same venue, about his new novel, Trail of the Jaguar. So that's going to be really fun as well. We had a lot of fun. Oh, hi, Karen from Denver. Thank you for joining us. Great. Well, here's how we're going to work this kind of mini demo workshop. I'm going to talk about my book, show you examples from the book, and then transition to my journal. And how did I get started doing this? Why am I talking about nature journaling? Well, I have been keeping nature journals, field notebooks for well over 35 years. I think it's closer to almost 40 now. Starting out in college, keeping my field notes for my biology classes, ecology and evolutionary biology at the U of A. And they really grew into, over the years, including more sketching and lately doing watercolor as well. And I created this book because as I was going through my own education on how to nature journal, how to do field sketching, there are a lot of wonderful resources out there, especially John Muir Laws and the Laws Guide to Nature Drawing and Journaling. Absolute Bible, and it's really thick and huge, and it can be really intimidating if you're just starting out. So my book is a different approach. In fact, it's a perfect companion to John Muir Law's book because I broke mine down into 8 lessons, and I'll show you them. In fact, let me just switch to the document camera and show you the inside of the book. All right, give that time to focus. Thank you. As I said, so the book has an introduction, the simple tools that you need. If you want to get started nature journaling, you really just need paper and a pencil or pen. That's all you need. And your eyes, ears, sense of smell, and your brain. That's all you need. So I broke it down into an 8-week course, and everything from, it's all about the data, how to get started, and I'll show you that. Question and visualize, drawing to learn, because we're not really learning to draw. We're using drawing as a tool to learn about nature. And along the way, you end up learning how to draw pretty darn well. How to silence the critic, other tricks and tools, introducing color to your journal, doing mapping and diagramming, and then really important, don't overthink it. So the book, each chapter Here's the tools, by the way, nice, suggestions for simple things. But here's week 1. So it's all about the data. So the metadata, the nature data, the different things you would put into your journal. And there's a lot of information laid out, examples, and then at the end of the week, I check in with you and you have your assignment, what to do for the week, and then I'll check in, with some kind of, it's not really a test, but it's just sort of a check-in. Did you manage daily practice? Did you establish metadata? And so on. And I leave room for notes. This is a workbook. So there's 8 weeks of that. And then there's some bonus items in the back of the book. Some bookmarks you can cut out. They're double-sided. And use them to remind yourself of what metadata, what the nature data is, reminders about seeing, not just looking, etc. Then some page layout ideas, and then some really fun tools. Include these cutout clear grids that you can use when drawing subjects to help you with proportions, and some viewfinders that match the grids and how to use them. And then, so that's 110 pages of instruction. And then I have 60 pages of high quality journaling pages, watercolor paper, which makes really lovely journal pages. So let's look at a journal. How do you get started? And what do I do for nature journaling? This is my journal. I've had this cover for, this is my cover for my pages. Gosh, Jonathan made this for me. When did you make that? Like 35 years ago. So it holds my paper I bind it in with simple leather like that. And then I can archive my pages in 3-ring binders, which is very convenient. And I also index my pages so I can find things that I wrote about in the past. Okay, there we go. So how do I go about doing a page? Let me show you some examples from recent travels. Let's see, find something here. So here's a trip we did out to the Canelo Hills in southern Arizona. When I talked about metadata, that's how I start out every page. And it's the date, the location, and a whole bunch of other things that are important if you're recording nature data, because metadata is all the data that goes with the nature data. The nature data is like, I saw ferruginous hawk, raven, the ceanothus had ice droplets on it. We had a snowfall and a really significant event for us in southern Arizona with a major drought. So the metadata is, what was the temperature? Where are we exactly in the Canelo Hills, latitude, longitude? And I always put sunrise, sunset, and then the moon phase, moonrise, moonset, and the phase that was full moon that day. Why would that be significant? Well, in the future, I might be looking at what animals we saw, or the tracks or sign of the animals we saw, the white-tailed deer. And this information will be useful at some point in telling me more about the location. And there was a lot of animal tracks. Was that because it was full moon? The animal tracks probably from overnight. I would guess so, but we'd have to kind of look and see how that plays out over other full moon happenings. What else? Another example of pages here. Let's look at a page from visiting Fort Lowell Park in Tucson. So now that's important that I put the location. It's not my backyard because I don't have great egrets and kingfishers in my yard. That would be pretty unusual. So we always want to know where we are. And the way I go about setting up a page after I do my metadata, and I do the grid because it's literally a warm-up exercise for my fingers, my hands, for the drawing part. And I don't use a ruler. I want to get my hand into the motions of drawing. And doing those grids, sometimes they go wonky, is great for the warming up. I always start with prose, just a description about what's going on. What am I seeing? And that's my trigger to get into the mode of nature journaling, to slow down, look up, pay attention. What am I seeing? Is it warm out? There are lots of people here, and so on. And then I usually somewhere on the pages start a list of animals that I'm seeing. And since the kingfisher was really active, I did a quick little gesture sketch of him or her. I can't remember how to tell. This was I think this was a female. Yes, I did note that. I looked it up later how to tell the difference. So did a quick gesture sketch. And then there was a great egret. So I did a really loose sketch of the two things I saw this egret doing, the standing with the leg tucked up. Took lots of notes that there were long feathers. The right leg was tucked up, 36 inches tall. And here's the head tucked in then. Snowy white, peach yellow bill and eyes, because at this point I was just doing very loose sketches and I finished my color later in the day at home. Most of the time I do my watercolor right in the field. So that's just an example of how I would go, just following my day and what I'm observing in the field. So yesterday I did a page of from my backyard, and again the metadata, what the moon phase was, what the temperature, the low and the high. I filled that in later, and I had decided to pull out after I wrote my prose about it was breezy and cool. There's a high pressure system north of us. And I noticed the weather said we were going to have clouds by Monday. So I noticed the senna was blooming. And I noted this yesterday. This is Senna artemisioides. This is native to Australia. And I did a quick kind of capture and measurements of this plant and its needle-like leaves, that they're paired leaflets. I indicated that there were flowers, but then I did like what's called a magnification blowout, and showed the more details on the flowers. And that took me only about 15 minutes. Hey, Jonathan, any questions so far that I'm not seeing?
Not yet. I've tested the comments, make sure they're working. We're getting thumbs up. But
okay, good.
No questions.
Great. Oh, and don't forget, Jonathan's going to put the link. Okay, great. He put the Tucson Festival of Books discount code for you all who are nice enough to join us today. So that is TFB. TF is in festival, B is in books, live, all capital letters. So that's good for the whole website, just for a short time today. So be sure to use that. So back to my journal here. I continued after I did my sketch, noting what was blooming, the silver senna and the creosote. So the only thing blooming. We're having a very dry, very quiet spring right now. And then I've been noticing what is eating all of the leaves on my wolfberry plant, Elysium. It looks like down at the lower part, a bunny is snipping off, or maybe the pack rat. I really am not sure. I'd have to put a trail cam out there to see who's doing it. It's snipping off the twigs, but all of the leaves are being taken, top to bottom, and it's about 2 feet tall. Someone suggested it might be crickets. And so when I have something I want to research and look up in my journal, and this is really important, this is about nature journaling is about learning, discovering, asking questions. So I always put the circle here with the question marks. So I'll notice I need to go back and check, is it crickets? And he suggested that there's some sort of cricket deterrent you can put around the base so I'm going to do that. And if I do solve it, I'll come back and I'll write in, yes, crickets. And yes, I put this and I'll put a check mark. Yes, that I finished. And yesterday I said, oh, one of the ways I often set up my pages is I'll go ahead and preload some boxes, and that takes away the pressure to like, oh, how am I going to lay out this page so it works or that it's a little more interesting? And this is just the way I do it. And maybe here I would start writing species that I'm seeing. But here, I think what I'm going to do is continue my observations and sketching. This is fun. We have a wild chiltepine plant. Well, I guess it's not wild anymore, is it, Jonathan? Because we've corralled it. So we have a chiltepine plant. This is a wild chili. It is the ancestor of all chilies. Grows in southern Arizona and canyons in Mexico, northern Mexico, and it is spelled chiltepine. And they're fruiting kind of, I want to say they're late, and usually the blooms are in September, October, and we would have fruits by December, but they really took a long time this year. Is it why? I don't know. I'll have to look in my notes to see. This is why we have, like, you keep your notes and you keep indexes to figure out so you can look back. When was I harvesting chiltepines? So let's draw that because it's kind of fun to draw. And then I can show you how I do red using minimalist colors. So I'm going to make this much bigger than life because it's kind of fun to do that. And then it can show the fluted nature of the stem and kind of cup holding the chiltepine. And they're just so beautiful. It's not quite round. It kind of has a flattened top. This one does. And I want to show its shape, right? So I'm going to shade just a little bit here like that. And then I'll finish the rest in the color. But just a really quick sketch, right? That only took me just a few minutes, barely, right? It's kind of fun. And it gives you a lot of pleasure to do that. Plus I'm studying it, right? And this is maybe the first time I've noticed these interesting flutes, and actually these marks go down the stem too. So if you really look closely, you'll see more detail than just if you say, oh, I know what this looks like. So that's a fun thing. These are maybe a little bit more pointed. All right, let's get out the color because that's fun. It's always a fun excuse to play with paint. So this is my little minimalist kit. And I paint with just, well, it's 3 primary colors, plus I throw in 2 kind of wild card colors. And I'll show you them in just a second. So first thing I'm going to do to prepare my little paint kit is spray it with a little water. I'm going to better do this off to the side. And that refreshes the paints and gets them ready for use. So that's a fun little tip. Normally, I would have this on my portable palette up above that's tucked in the back of my book, but I can't really use that for this type of demo. So we're going to do it a little differently. This is my water container that sits on my palette. Hopefully I won't spill it on my page. Now the colors I use are primary colors, and the true primary colors are a yellow. I use a neutral yellow. Let's see, there we go. Whoops, any questions yet, Jonathan?
Not yet.
magenta, not red. Red is not a primary color. You can make red from yellow and magenta, which I'm about to show you. And then, and you can't make yellow and you can't make magenta. And then I use a real true cyan blue. I'll show you some of those there. And then my little wildcard colors are a dark indanthrone blue and a burnt sienna. And you can make any colors you need with just these colors. You can actually just do it with the three primaries. So what's this? So let me show you. So here's what the magenta looks like. Literally a beautiful magenta. And here's just to show you, here's the cyan, very beautiful, kind of bright sky blue. These are cool, transparent colors. But let's make the red. How would I do that? Well, I'm going to put a little bit of yellow and then add some magenta here.
I have a question.
What's the question?
What is a neutral yellow? Aureolin?
Oh, good question. Yes, aureolin is a perfect neutral yellow, and neutral means it's not really, really warm, and it's not cool. Like Hansa yellow is, I think, fairly cool. So it's a really nice, just medium yellow that you can warm up or cool.
And also, what color is the cyan blue?
Oh, thank you. Yes, reminding me. So these are from Greenleaf Blueberry, but I'm going to give you the Daniel Smith equivalents. Aureolin yellow, quinacridone rose, or you can get quinacridone magenta, and then manganese blue, which Daniel Smith now has. So you see how that red is coming up there. Really fun. I'm going to see if I can get this a little more fire engine-y by adding a little more yellow. Nope, that's too orange. So I need to add more magenta. And sometimes it's just there, trial and error. Now this is a shiny fruit. So I want to leave literally some shiny bits, like maybe right about there. And I'm going to leave that for a minute, let that dry, and then I'm going to darken the edges a little. But I left that white bit to show that it's shiny. Now let's do some green. Greens are fun to do too. Get rid of this. Just wiping that out, literally. And if I blork on my page, that's okay, because this is not about perfect, pretty pages. This is about studying this and enjoying the color and just having a nice time and not beating yourself up that it's not perfect and that. So to make the green, see, I added the cyan to that yellow, and bing, that's a beautiful spring green, which is really what this looks like. And I'm just going to lay in this pretty spring green here. Like so. And we have we have a Chiltepin in our journal. Now I can go in and add a little bit more dark red. And the other thing I might do is darken this to almost a purple. Let me show you why. It's because that's going to make a nice shadow here to help show that this is a rounded fruit. And I might even do the same. I might even just use this bluey purple also just down here and not worry about mixing like a gray or something, because this is going to turn gray like that. So that's just a really quick fun. Oops, you see how dark that blue is? Ha, I got too much paint. I just wanted to add a tiny bit. I'm just going to pick up a tiny bit of that dark blue. And I'm laying the dark blue right on top of the green because it's going to blend in. And then I want to be sure to get these divots, or, well, flutes, I guess. That's still a little bit wet, so I'm actually accidentally lifting the paint here. But there, that shows the divots. So there we have kind of an example of really quick field sketching. Have fun in your journal. Any questions,
No,
Jonathan?
a couple of comments. Laura Bono, whose photo has a really cute kitten on her shoulder, says in Texas we call them chile patin. And Mary Alvarez notes that in Patty's Mexican Table series, there's an episode using chiltepines in recipes.
So oh, nice. They're super hot, but if you just use a few of them, it works great. And my favorite thing to do with them is I steep them in Tito's vodka, and then I use the vodka to make a cocktail that I call the Jaguar's Tail, which is the spicy vodka, lime juice, simple syrup, and a little bit of egg white shaken up so it has a nice skim on the top of foam. And I call it the Jaguar's Tail.
Getting a little off track here.
Oh, okay, back to art. Hey, drinking and art is good. So this is just an example of how I would go about doing my pages. And another thing that I noticed when I was out is that the Texas ebony was the fruits are snapping open. So, I might sketch that. Be nice to use that burnt sienna that I have for this. But I don't have a lot of time here, but maybe what I would do is maybe just remind myself here with a quick, just real gestury sketch here. Just not getting real precious about this. This was the stem end, and here's the point. And you'll notice that it's like really looks like alligator skin, or it's just really crackly. And I'm doing that to show that these are bulbous. And then I keep going in here and adding the crackly bits. See, I'm just doing this like super fast. I'm really, really doing this fast for this demo too. And then showing that it's open, we would mirror here and then going in here and then coming out again, mirroring these shapes here. And then I would go in with paints. And we had a good question yesterday about, if I were not painting, would I do this differently? And the answer is yes. I would be much more meticulous in my pen work to show more of the detail, so I could just leave it without any more details. So sketch that in. There. And then I could go in and color this. This is not showing it's a very burnt sienna color. Oh, and I would be sure to want to say this is, I probably want to get out my, my ruler and measure that this is about 12, I'll say 13 centimeters long by about, these are an average 1.5 to 2 centimeters wide. And I would take notes on how many are still on the tree, and I could even pull it open and sketch the beans, which are really fun.
I have another question.
Okay, another question?
What kind of pen are you using?
Aha. So I am a huge fan of fountain pens. I use this, I will say, was a gift 36 years ago from my dear husband. Yay! Like everybody clap for Jonathan. Woo! This is a pen that actually I'm not sure they even make anymore. It's the Mont Blanc. It's one of the smaller Meisterstrokes. And I don't see it on the website anymore. What I love about fountain pens is, show you here, you can do everything from whispery, this is barely showing, whispery line, little sketches, to really fine lines like this, to substantial lines, just by varying the pressure on the nib. Nibs are very strong. You can use refillable cartridges. This is archival quality ink, which you want to use for your nature journaling. So just always buy ink for fountain pens. I worked with someone recently who put Sumi ink in her fountain pen and killed it until we were able to get it cleaned out using a special solution. So here's another great pen. Love this pen. This is the Lamy Safari, Lamy. They come in loads of different colors. Like the Mont Blanc, you can add a reservoir for the ink. I also love that I'm not throwing out plastic pens. And this one has a similar range. You can also buy, I think it's 14 or 22 karat gold nib for this one, just like it's just like the Mont Blanc. I think it's an extra $100, but you don't need it. You really don't. This pen is $29. I love it. And I use it as well. So again, fine lines all the way up. This one also does nice thick. It's not quite as thick. It's not quite as flexible. This is the steel nib as this one, but still a great pen. And if I drop this one in the pond I'm sketching by, I'm not going to cry. If I drop this one in the pond, yeah, I'll cry. But I still use this one every day, and it goes with me everywhere. No sense in keeping those in a drawer. Any other questions?
Not yet.
Okay, great. Well, let me switch back to my main camera. Okay. All right. So that was fun. I actually really enjoyed doing that. I love sketching the chiltepines. That's a lot of fun. So nature journaling, you don't have to go crazy exotic places or far or hike 10 miles to do field sketching and nature journaling. Backyards are fantastic. Even just potted plants on a balcony and what birds are nearby. You can do these things every day, and they're very joyful. And when I do these sketches and taking notes, and I don't always do sketches. Sometimes it's just words. I drop into this nature journaling sketching zone. It's very meditative and very joyful. And your blood pressure goes down. You don't think about anything. You'll want to make sure that your phones are off or away. You're not getting those distractions from all the horrible things that make our minds crazy right now. And And so I really, really just highly recommend you give it a try, and don't be hard on yourself, and don't expect you're going to start out, if you've never sketched before, don't expect that you're going to start out, like, remember driving, learning to drive. You're not going to be Mario Andretti within a week. So, John Muir Laws is Mario Andretti of nature journaling and sketching, but it took him decades of work to get to where he can sit down and sketch a live bird perfectly. He didn't do it overnight. Anyone can learn to draw. It's an absolute skill you can acquire. There is no such thing as having natural talent for drawing. It's simply something you train your brain to do. And the more you challenge your brain, the more you learn. You actually do grow. Neural pathways in your brain grow when you push yourself to learn. So the more you draw, the smarter you get. Right. So any final questions before we sign off for today?
No more questions.
Okay. More questions? No more?
No more.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Don't forget, 10% off today at our website for those of you who've joined us is TFB Live, all caps. Please, those will only be good today for a short time. We'll end those after the broadcast. So thank you very much for joining me. If anyone ever has any questions about getting started nature journaling or challenges you're having, feel free to PM me. I have a public page. Some of you are watching on that. Or email me off the website, exploringoverland.com. And I wish you great joy in nature journaling. Oh, okay, Sherry's asking, do we use the website here? If you're, so she might be on Vimeo. So let me put the website. So HTTP, I'm putting in a website for someone here. This is exploringoverland.com. And you can find the field arts section. You can find our shop for all of our books and field arts, minimalist paint kits, and lots and lots of free tutorials on my tutorials page in the field arts section. So that is a great place to go for more information and to order books. So Sherry, thank you very much. And if there aren't any more questions, we will be signing off then. All right, everyone. Bye. Don't forget Jonathan at 1 o'clock for his new novel, Trail of the Jaguar, right here, same place.